The sea, for me, has a fascination. I like being on the sea. I sleep better on a boat. I like the smell of it, the taste of it. So it's somewhere where I'm happy.
Yeah, the depth here is 261 meters.
261, roger that.
As the ROV moves in, there's always this moment. The green haze of water gradually resolves into this shape. And you start seeing timbers. I feel this uncontrollable sort of surge of excitement. Finding shipwrecks like that is breathtaking. You're thinking, I wonder what this is going to be.
Sailing east at 6 knots, the 3,000-ton Strill Explorer heads into the mysterious waters of the Black Sea. She's making for a set of coordinates off the Bulgarian coast. On board, an international team of scientists led by John Adams, one of the maritime archaeologists who raised King Henry VIII's flagship, the Mary Rose.
We have some good target areas that we would like to get a little bit more information, but these are the selected locations, and what we've done is we've given the coordinates to the bridge. We're steaming off to do the first one now.
More used to battling the storms of the North Sea for the oil industry, the high-tech Scandinavian survey vessel will be the operational centerpiece of the expedition.
Bridge deck. Yeah, transponder is secured on deck.
10:15, okay. We're heading straight towards where we said we'd be. The Strill Explorer is an incredible ocean-going survey vessel with all the systems that anybody could possibly need. If I was to design a vessel and equipment to do deep water archaeology, this is it.
For the next 4 weeks, home, family, life on land will take a back seat in a quest to uncover the story of the Black Sea. This vast sea was once a prehistoric lake, unconnected to the world's oceans. How it then flooded remains disputed. Some scientists have argued there was a catastrophic deluge which inspired the biblical flood story. Along its shores, they've found evidence of early humans who settled here, worked the land, discovered gold. In the sea's hidden depths, archaeologists believe there may be evidence of ancient seafaring, shipwrecks from long-lost empires that could date back 3,000 years to when the Greeks first landed on the Black Sea's shores. Until now, this sea has remained little explored. Flanked by 6 countries, the Black Sea was, for much of the 20th century, hidden behind the Iron Curtain. For the next 3 years, John Adams and his team will search for evidence of the lost civilizations and the ancient peoples who lived and sailed on this mysterious sea.
The whole area is an archaeological hotspot in terms of what we know about ancient civilizations along its shores. And in theory, we would expect tremendously exciting remains from past cultures underwater as well.
Adams's right-hand man is Krum Bachvarov, one of the few maritime archaeologists ever to have worked on a Black Sea shipwreck.
This is really going to sound cheesy, but we really are making history. The shipwrecks that we're likely to find, there are thousands upon thousands of years of seafaring in this region, and we know virtually nothing about it.
Helen Farr specializes in prehistory, uncovering the worlds in which ancient peoples lived.
Understanding that human narrative against the backdrop of this changing landscape of sea level rise is really important for understanding where we've come from, who we are, what makes humans humans. It's something that people really engage with.
Managing the team's state-of-the-art imaging systems is maritime archaeologist Rodrigo Pacheco Ruiz.
The Black Sea has never been explored this way. It's virgin territory. There's very, very little archaeology done here. You know, this is the biggest museum in the world, and it's all on the water, so a lot of exciting stuff. Ah, here's John. Are we ready?
My estimate is about another 30-35 minutes.
Excellent.
Good.
All right.
Cider Joy, Sarder Joy, Strio Explorer, Strio Explorer.
Station calling, Cider Joy decline.
Just for information, we are conducting subsea operation. Can you keep clear of us 1 nautical mile, please?
Thank you very much. Okay, I will be clear of you 1.
The Strill reaches the coordinates where sonar has located a signature at 300 meters. But what's down there, no one is sure. Alongside the scientists is a team of deep-sea surveyors equipped with the latest laser and sonar technology, and 6 pilots for the remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs. Linked to the ship by a fiber-optic cable, the supporter ROV can reach depths of nearly 2,000 meters, gliding through the water with the touch of a joystick.
Leon, ready?
Yes, ready, ready. Take it away, guys. All stations are off deck. Bridge, confirm I have a green light for diving?
Yes, you have.
Thank you, Conrad.
Adams's command post is the ROV pilot's cabin. The supporter's 8 cameras will open a window to an undiscovered world.
Calibrating the camera, yeah, and then getting the lights right and stuff.
Okie dokie. I'm in down.
As it descends, the supporter gets closer and closer to what makes the Black Sea unique. At a depth of 150 meters, oxygen in the water disappears. The sea becomes a dead zone.
Go on.
Yeah, the depth here is 261 meters.
261, roger that.
Come on, guys. My God, look at that.
Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this is absolutely beautiful.
Much of the wreck has been preserved. The wooden balustrades around the quarterdeck, the ropes for working the sails. In other seas, most of this wreck would not have survived.
That's quite a lot of rope.
Oh, yes.
That's brilliant.
Look at the mast leaning against the beam.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Look, have you seen the carving? Oh, the carving, it's all over the place. Absolutely beautiful.
The carved patterns of flowers and vines are Islamic. The ship would have sailed during the Ottoman Empire, probably around 300 years ago.
It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Have you ever seen it?
No, not live, not doing it now. It's down there, 300 meters. We are discovering it. We are looking at it now for the first time.
Three centuries ago, the Black Sea was a prized possession of the Ottoman Empire. Merchant ships plied their trade along its coastline, a vital supply line for the Ottoman capital, Constantinople, today's Istanbul. Within a century of its capture, close to 700,000 people lived in this teeming city. Feeding the growing population was a priority for the Ottoman rulers. Ports at the mouths of the great rivers that fed into the Black Sea from Russia and Europe were vital trading posts and were quickly captured. An armada of small traders began to ferry vital supplies back to Constantinople. Some ships, their hulls laden with grain from the Balkans, precious metals from the Caucasus, never made it home.
In theory, shipwrecks that come to rest on 300 metres of water should be well preserved. But we didn't really know. So the first time we started to see that Ottoman wreck, that was a moment. It really is like this, and we can see wonderful things all over the bottom of this sea, potentially.
The expedition to the Black Sea began 12 months earlier on a Greek survey ship, the Aegeo. Adams's mission was to settle a scientific argument that has divided archaeology for decades: how the Black Sea flooded. Using a sonar device called a towfish, which emits powerful pulses of sound, the team surveys the sea floor. The sound pulses penetrate the seabed, feeding back a detailed profile of the prehistoric landscape that once existed. 20,000 years ago, the Black Sea looked very different. In the grip of the last ice age, global sea levels were much lower, and the Black Sea was a smaller, freshwater lake. Early humans probably lived and hunted on its shores.
At the moment, we're more or less steaming over the Paleo shoreline. In other words, from here, in that way, towards the land of Bulgaria, which we can see in the horizon, everything was dry land once upon a time.
For decades, most geologists agreed that as the Ice Age ended, fresh water from the surrounding rivers poured into the lake. Over thousands of years, it slowly filled up. Eventually, the lake reached the Bosphorus and began to mix with seawater from the Mediterranean, creating the Black Sea that exists today. Then in 1997, the theory was challenged by two American scientists, Walter Pittman and William Ryan. They argued that there was little change to the prehistoric lake until a few thousand years ago, when the rising seawater level of the Mediterranean burst through the Bosphorus. The theory sparked huge public interest, recalling Noah and the biblical flood. In 3 weeks of surveying with the towfish, the team creates a map of the ancient buried landscape, the first step in uncovering how the Black Sea formed. Using a second towfish, the team begin a new search. This time, they're looking for shipwrecks. In most oceans, ancient ships have long disappeared. Their wooden timbers eaten by shipworm, as on this 2,000-year-old Greek wreck. But in the Black Sea, because oxygen below 150 meters disappears, the water is anoxic. It doesn't support life, such as shipworm. It could mean that ships from long ago empires still might exist on the seabed.
This is the first one that really sprang out of the screen after screaming shipwreck. Even if it's recent, this could actually be a really, really interesting find.
And this is the deepest one, almost 300 meters, 278.
This one's very interesting. That's really good. You've got collapsed beams and all sorts of things. You've certainly got what looks like structural timbers all the way around.
Yeah.
In a way, I think it's the most interesting one.
The Strill is heading further out to sea, to deeper water, where the team hope that older wrecks may still lie, untouched for perhaps thousands of years.
You can never tell where the ancient shipwrecks will be, but we go down below 150 meters, preservation becomes dramatically better. And so if you're looking for ancient shipwrecks, look in the deeper water. You might get lucky and find some really early stuff.
Online and ROV, this is bridge. Vessel in position, ready to start whenever you are. ROV copy.
Frame copy.
Latch open. Stand by.
Stand by.
The wreck signature they'll inspect will take the ROV deeper than it's ever been before. 1,800 meters, a 40-minute journey to the seabed.
My personal favorite on the wish list is the medieval Byzantine shipwreck. If we find one of those ships, I'll be very happy.
There it is, yeah.
This definitely looks like in the 17th century Eastern Mediterranean cargo vessel. That would explain the straight stern post.
Like the earlier find, the ship is from the Ottoman period, from 200 to 300 years ago.
Okay, might as well cathex.
Ready for cathex?
Yeah.
Cathex is one of the ROV's high-definition cameras, which photographs the wreck in minute detail. And it's part of a revolutionary method of surveying wrecks in deep water called photogrammetry.
We capture a series of stills at a frame rate of 3 every second. So from these wreck, we managed to get 700 photos. So that's a lot of high-resolution photography. The software stitches it together, basically, and you start getting a much better idea of details of the ship.
The levels of technology have become so advanced. They're things that we used to dream of as methods of three-dimensional recording things underwater with speed and accuracy. Now they're here. So to a certain extent, you can do an awful lot sitting in a control ground with a cup of coffee in one hand and a joystick in the other. I mean, it's fantastic.
With the image now stitched together, the team have the precise dimensions of the ship, can record every timber, and in this case, identify every artifact that might otherwise stay hidden. From the photogrammetry model, there appears to be an object wedged under a timber near the stern of the wreck.
You see him?
Yes, sir.
Using the fiber optically controlled manipulator arm, the ROV pilot, Brian Gar, begins the challenging process of retrieving the artifact.
There's an old expression that archaeologists don't dig up things, but people. But it's the things that allow us to get to the people.
Easy up.
We are faced with the material evidence. The immediacy of that is what fills your brain initially. And then you start thinking about the people and wondering what happened. Most of those shipwrecks out there, there's no obvious reason that they sunk. They're on the bottom of the sea. They probably went down in bad storms. It would have been a very dire situation to be in. Well done.
What we're looking at is 2 clay braziers. On the left one, we see traces of burning and traces of concreted ashes and charcoal which comes to show that the brazier was actively used. In fact, when we discovered it, it was still full of ashes. So yeah, this brazier probably contained the remains of the last meal that was eaten on board the boat.
You're talking to these people. They suddenly become live. They are right next to you.
For Krum Bachvarov, ships are the closest possible connection to long-lost empires. A way to understand the past and its people. For more than 2 years, he's been working on the Vasa, a 17th century Swedish warship.
If you study the timbers properly, you're going to see the marks from the tools. You will learn to recognize their signature by the way they use their tools.
Bachvarov has been painstakingly examining each timber of the ship's frame, carefully reconstructing how the Vasa was built.
It is the first time that we are really developing and understanding how the shipwrights put her together. There are not two timbers that are exactly the same aboard the ship, or that are even universally squared. The capability of dealing with complicated engineering problems, this is telling us something about the mental state of these people, how much they understood the forces that were acting upon their ships. How did they solve the problem of creating a regularly operational vessel that was safe, that made it sure that it will bring its cargo and preferably also its crew back home at the end of the voyage.
In the case of the Vasa, disaster struck on its maiden voyage, human error causing it to sink before it had left Stockholm harbour. When it was raised 60 years ago, archaeologists found that the ship, buried in sediment, had been largely preserved.
Seeing the ship the first time was the closest to a religious experience that I've ever had. To me, it was entering a cathedral, a medieval cathedral, Gothic cathedral. That sense of awe, that overwhelming feeling has never left me.
Survey bridge?
Yes, guys.
We're okay to start operations and we are vessel in position.
For over 2 weeks, the Strill has been at sea. Scientists, surveyors, and ROV pilots working day and night.
Must be hard to keep in touch with your daughters, Jürgen.
Yeah, this is life at sea, sort of. It's when you have the time to call, they might be doing something else. There's nothing you can do about it.
Hello.
Oh, you miss me?
Yeah, I did. You miss me? Yeah. I heard that Auntie Dandelion came and painted your fingernails.
Just tired, to be honest. I think it's kind of normally when she'd be asleep at the moment, but...
That's okay.
Okay, bye.
The hunt for shipwrecks goes on.
Right, 10 meters to go.
But the team is struggling to find anything older than Ottomans from around 300 years ago.
Not another one.
Oh yeah. Same old, same old.
Ah, dear oh dear. It's yet another one. It's another one to add to our fleet. I think it's a smaller example than some of the bigger ones that we've seen, but it's the same generic type. It's disappointing.
None of the discoveries are the ancient wrecks Adams had hoped the deeper anoxic water would hold.
ROV survey.
Right, survey.
Were we not just at this shipwreck?
You hear the official designation of this sort of ship, the Archaea wreck. And because they're all the same when they come virtually flat packed.
Each inspection takes time, as much as 6 hours. It's eating into the schedule. They can't take shortcuts. Every wreck could be the ancient ship they're looking for. Priced at $20 million, the expedition has high expectations of making ancient discoveries.
In this case, there's so much money involved. There's so many people involved as well. And there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of tension. There's only one chance. It's uneconomic to get it wrong, basically, at this scale.
It's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to get it right.
Yeah. Right, same stuff. Bloody hell. That's what it is. Archaeology is like that. You just have to work with what you have. But it would be nice to have something else.
Ah, dear oh dear. Okay, time to leave the crime scene. Yeah.
Time is running out. John Adams needs more than IKEA wrecks. He also still has to determine exactly how and when the Black Sea flooded. It will take much of the Strill's resources and many days of ship time.
Survey, the barbecue is on surface. Survey, copy, thank you. Right now you can lower it down.
Copy that, go down.
Armed with last year's map of the buried landscape, the team selects specific sites on the seabed to core. Six-meter-long hollow tubes are lowered onto the seabed, then pushed into the soft mud. Once extracted, they'll contain a core of sediment that could date back tens of thousands of years.
This is fantastic. A full 6 meters of consolidated sediment, that's great. What you're looking at here contains all the evidence for how the environment was at the time and how it changed over time. And that will hopefully help us to address some of the big debates. When it happened, how it happened, and what effects it had on the human populations living in the region at the time.
73 sites have been selected along the shallow coastal shelf and further out in deeper water. The team hope the cores contain evidence of the prehistoric lakeshore, the first step in understanding when and how the inundation happened.
There you go.
Not too bad.
It's a nice shell material.
Bit of shell there.
Yeah. Okay,
In this
lovely.
core,
It's clean
thick
coast.
mud sits at the top. But further back in time, towards the bottom, mixed in with the sediment, are pieces of shell. They could be evidence of the lake's prehistoric coastline.
Oh, yes.
So we see that and we go, aha, that looks familiar. That looks like a beach. Why is that underwater? Well, it's ancient beach from before it got submerged. So if I can understand where that coastline was, then we can start looking at that coastline and thinking about it. What was the geography in the past of the Black Sea?
With 73 cores to extract, every hour of daylight is precious. And that means the search for wrecks has to go on through the night.
ROV online, can you just set up the ROV on the line heading to...
In the early hours of the morning, after 3 weeks at sea, the team finally finds a new wreck signature.
I'd given up and gone to bed because I'd been up for about 24 hours. And lo and behold, the phone rings. So they said, John, do you want to see something different? So we're going to do a couple more flyovers with the Sulis. Just to indulge me. Wide angle, please.
Yeah, sure.
And just a touch higher. Perfect, perfect. Okay, off we go.
The eeriness of the mast just sticking out of the darkness. Incredible.
Beautiful stuff, Kalin.
Yes.
Do I see tool marks on that stem?
What, like a
Can we just take a little bit of a lower look down the stem as we come round?
The new wreck isn't an Ottoman. It's older. 500 years older. A merchant ship, most likely built in Italy.
We're looking at a date, I think probably 1200 to 1400, something like that. And we find pictures of them or reliefs carved in churches and things, but this is the first time anybody's seen anything like this. The thing for real, almost intact. It's amazing. It's the sort of ship that Marco Polo might have sailed on.
When the great medieval explorer Marco Polo returned in 1295 to Venice from 24 years in the East, he traveled home by sail. His last sea leg was across the Black Sea, on a ship much like this.
Then you start thinking, well, the last time that ship was seen was probably the last time those people saw anything. What would that have been like for them? It must have been terrifying. Suddenly it becomes about a group of people's very real demise. And then we were finished, and the ROV just drew back. Suddenly I thought, there but the grace of God go I.
Lifting a wreck of this age to the surface would cost tens of millions of dollars. 3D photogrammetry means they don't have to. Archaeologists now have digital tools with which to explore the wrecks, long after the ROV has left the seabed.
That little Mediterranean ship, probably built in Venice or somewhere like that, gives us a way into history that we can't get by any other means. If you look at the ships in Northern Europe in the 1500s, like the Mary Rose, that's the other end of the process. So the Mediterranean ship that we found is the before and the Mary Rose is the after.
Point the jib west.
Jib west, roger, stand by.
Jib west.
Yeah. That's that way.
John Adams began work on raising the Mary Rose in the late 1970s. It quickly became the biggest maritime archaeological project ever undertaken and revealed the ship as a unique document detailing life in medieval England.
I can picture myself as though it was yesterday, being inside this amazing structure. All the guns were still in place at the time we found them, and there were shot and ropes and longbows and all sorts of other stuff lying around. In fact, you could swim at one point from one end of the main deck to the other, past all these guns, looking down at the guns still pointing out through the gun ports. And it was just the most amazing experience. The more we learned about the ship, the more it surprised us. The ingenuity of the way in which the internal space was organised, and that the fixtures and fittings and the rig and all the other equipment, including, of course, the guns. The ingenuity of how to create this complex floating society in this structure of thousands of components. You know, this was a new thing for Europe at the time.
Medieval Europe was changing, from a patchwork of small city-states to powerful nations ruled by monarchies. Henry VIII personally paid for the construction of the Mary Rose, a potent symbol of his and England's status.
Ships can be seen at this period as the tools of state building, because they're now the new form of castle. They're floating castles. You can take your power where you want them. Now, when we look at that Italian ship in the Black Sea, that is the stage of maritime technological development before this process of technological change happens.
19,000 artifacts were uncovered from the Mary Rose, each one adding to an intimate portrait of life lived 500 years ago.
A shipwreck is an accident, and it's a floating society, therefore it contains not only the ship, its technologies, its fixtures, its fittings, its rig, the personal possessions of the crew, their equipment. You've got this whole complex structure and all the objects of those people on board. When you look at a shipwreck, you have the best way of getting at the people that is possible, really.
Meter at 332 bearing.
55 meters at 332 degrees. Clear to move?
Clear to move.
Back on the Strill, something's gone wrong with the latest dive.
Could you come to a stop on the vessel, and we'll see if it gets it in again.
Copy that.
Now there's a really, really bad current there, so I will try to turn.
Yes, guys.
Yeah, could you do a fix on me now?
Yep, sure, Brian.
Say again, please.
Yes, Brian.
Bridge ROV? Yeah, you need to now, this is a critical situation, we're trying to get up, and I need you to speak up on the comms, please.
500 meters down, there's a problem with the ROV.
We lost our hydroacoustic positioning.
It's there, but it's not coming up. It's red and it's got zero depth, so I'm not too sure what that's happening.
Don't trust this position because we're not getting anything up close anymore. So.
The supporter's positioning beacon has broken. There's several $1 million worth of submersible out there, somewhere.
We have a loop of 760 meters of cable now, and we are only 470 meters under the boat, so the current is pulling on the loop.
The current has dragged the ROV nearly half a kilometer out to sea. But in which direction, no one knows.
Can't really see the cable there. Ivan, can you get one of the guys on the bridge to go out and have a look on the umbilical cable and tell me which direction it's going?
If the supporter is lost, it'll put a stop to the expedition's hunt for wrecks.
ROV survey.
Yes.
Yeah, we have your positioning about 400 meters from the vessel. We need to track back to the vessel.
Flying blind, all Brian Gar can do is slowly reel the ROV back on board, without crashing it into the ship's hull.
You see now I'm coming up quite fast there.
No, it's, we will lose it. We will lose it.
All stations are reopened back.
I'm so relieved. I had this horror of sort of going along with these sort of millions and millions of pounds worth of equipment.
Oh, it's
You take that end.
The coring of the Black Sea, in search of the prehistoric coastline, is nearly complete. Most of the 73 cores have been extracted from the shallow coastal shelf and from deeper waters.
They've all been sorted, but they now need to go back in the crate and away.
One will attract particular interest. Core 59. At the UK's National Oceanography Centre, scientists from the expedition have found evidence of the prehistoric lake.
As you can see, we've got almost 4 meters of pure shell. If we take a sample from here, we have a real mixture. You can see that we have some slightly more intact shells, some that are slightly broken, and then we have this completely ground down shell within it. And this is really where what's happened is wave energy and a dynamic environment has basically churned this around, breaking them down into almost what looks like, in some places, like a sand. And that's really good evidence that we're on the edge of the Black Sea Lake as it was then.
Taken 60 kilometers off the present-day coast, the core gives a precise location of the prehistoric lake. Its shores would have been surrounded by tens of thousands of square kilometers of dry land that is now submerged.
That takes you to pretty much where it begins to start dropping off into the real depths.
For Helen Farr, the results could be evidence of how early humans might have existed on this land.
So that's a large amount of continental shelf here that would have been possibly inhabited, crossed by people that were looking for their resources that they needed to live. The Black Sea was a great environment. You've got rich areas which would have had game and things to hunt, You've got fish resources, you've got stone, so you've got all the things that you really need to be successful.
Now the scientists need to resolve how this vast expanse of prehistoric land flooded. Slowly or catastrophically.
Would people notice it? Would that affect people's lives? What about if it was catastrophic? I mean, how quick is catastrophic?
All stations are way off deck.
There's a new find. Sitting in the shallow waters of the Bulgarian coastal shelf.
It looks interesting. I'm refusing to get excited until I know that it's not a fiberglass replica that's fallen off a container ship on its way to a fairground in Georgia or somewhere. So I'm just, not going to allow myself to get excited. I mean, it could be all sorts of things. It's just that it looks as though it could be special. Right. We want to be in there somewhere. Cheers.
ROV copy. Stand by. 20 seconds.
There is a big...
something looming.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I knew it.
When we came into the wreck, you immediately got the feeling that there's a wreck that had been down there many centuries. So we had a ship on the seabed with structure still poking through the seabed, more or less upright because the shape that we could see in the multi-beam was symmetrical. So it wasn't on one side, it wasn't smashed up. And the shape of it looked unlike sort of post-medieval ships, so we suspected it could be earlier.
Inches, 60, yeah.
Okay, so if we just pull back again and look down at the whole thing. And what's this coming up here?
Embedded in the sediment is an amphora. An ancient clay vessel used for transporting wine and olive oil.
As we looked at it from more and more angles, it became more and more obvious that it was some sort of Byzantine type, which immediately puts it into the sort of, maybe 1,000 years old or something.
It's the oldest wreck they've found. A merchant ship from the Byzantine Empire.
It's a totally new page in history that we just turned today. I could not be happier.
It might be 1,000 years old, but no one can date the wreck precisely. The amphora could hold the answer. If they can retrieve it, they can date it more closely.
Where are all of us?
For John Adams, the Byzantine, at 95 meters, is close enough to touch.
Going to small beam test, like which gases we would use.
And diving onto the wreck would give the maritime archaeologist the chance to inspect the ancient ship firsthand.
You can do a lot with ROVs these days. And of course, photogrammetry is a fantastic way of recording these things in 3 dimensions incredibly quickly. But as an archaeologist, to actually dive on a shipwreck site, I always learn more than I could remotely. And I always understand more as a result. And going down there yourself just gives it an extra element. There's an extra sort of, I see, I understand that.
But such a deep dive is dangerous.
Let's go into small details like which gases we would use. How we're gonna
At the safety meeting, there are worries that the dive is too risky.
95 meters is a substantial dive. We have, of course, a medic on board for any hurt, damaged people, divers. And we have the safety divers that will also assist in this.
If the safety divers are hovering in 20 and a diver needs to be recovered from the bottom or assisted, what do we do between 60 and 20 meters?
Yeah, that's
the problem.
It's a bit tricky in this kind of situation. The first thing you have to do is just to make the guy breathing, then we'll see. And go up a little bit, because even we are full of helium, if you go up so fast, you bring body.
You're talking about the diving equivalent of having a heart attack driving a car at 70 miles an hour.
Exactly.
If John Adams dies and anything goes wrong, the entire expedition will be jeopardized.
Diving, for me, is peace. It's a transition from a weighted world of bustle into this fantastic, peaceful, translucent world. The reason why I like diving as an archaeologist is that when I get down there, I feel, I see, I touch things. And so if I can engage with my wreck directly through diving, that's the best.
Lying in nearly 100 meters of water, a 10th century Byzantine shipwreck. From a 1,000-year empire that at its height ruled much of Europe and the Middle East. It's the oldest connection to our seafaring past, made by one of the largest deep-water expeditions ever undertaken. In 2015, the maritime archaeologist John Adams began a 3-year mission to discover how the Black Sea was formed. 20,000 years ago, this vast sea was a prehistoric lake, unconnected to the world's oceans. Large swathes of it was dry land on which early humans walked. How it then flooded remains disputed. Adams has brought together a team of leading international scientists to try and solve the puzzle.
This is really going to sound cheesy, but we really are making history.
And with some of the most sophisticated deep water equipment yet developed, the team also planned to search these unique waters for traces of the lost civilizations who lived and sailed on the Black Sea. They've journeyed to more than 2 kilometers below the surface and made discoveries that will redefine maritime archaeology. Perfectly preserved shipwrecks, from history's greatest empires.
It's just too good.
Now, the lost Byzantine merchant ship is the subject of a perilous dive by John Adams to retrieve an ancient amphora from among its timbers. With every meter a diver descends, air becomes increasingly toxic. John Adams is diving to 95 meters. He's breathing a delicate mix of oxygen, helium, and nitrogen to avoid potentially deadly effects of toxicity and the bends. Adams and his dive partner, Rasmus Ravensborg, are the first to board the Byzantine for more than 1,000 years.
Don't expect to see as much as you do so soon. It's almost like an artist's reconstruction, but actually for real. So I could see the whole array of frames and the section of planks. And there's a really nice set of timbers that go all the way across the ship. And in fact, you can see them actually. We're just approaching them here. And essentially, there's these pristine vertical boards. This is a bulkhead. And it looks as though it was made yesterday. It's absolutely smooth. There's no tool marks on this wood either. So they must have finished it off by scraping.
Okay, then you can start recovering them. All right.
Adams has just 23 minutes to find the amphora and maneuver it onto the ROV. If he stays any longer, his return to the surface will become ever more perilous.
Now it's 9 minutes. John and the guys.
The ROV has followed the diver's progress to the wreck. It'll help with the amphora's retrieval.
Everything is stretched now, so it's hanging fine now.
Amphorae are made to be carried by the handles with 20 gallons of liquid inside, which is a lot of weight. And in fact, this was full of sediment and it was heavier than I thought it would be.
Ser ut som skulle hamna under båten. Eller?
Nej, men skicka in någon som lämpar. Ja, igång på något på Panamatelet.
This way. Yeah.
Recovered from the seabed after 1,000 years, the amphora, once a disposable container, is now a historical treasure.
Okay, swinging.
It came to the surface, came without stress to the amphora. The operation is complete. Now we can breathe.
They're going to start going up from the seafloor.
You're in this huge, great space of water, this wonderful sort of limpid void. And there, down on the seafloor, is this sort of panorama of ancient shipwreck and lights and movement and technology. And I just had this sort of panorama in front of me, and I thought, wow, I'm not going down. I mean, that's one of the most spectacular moments I've ever had, I think, in my whole diving career, looking at that site. Hovering at about 75 metres, looking down at 95 metres, looking down at that site, going, absolutely amazing.
At the United Kingdom's National Oceanography Centre, scientists from the expedition have spent 6 months trying to settle the argument over how the Black Sea flooded. Last year, they selected 73 sites to core. 6-metre hollow tubes were pushed into the seabed. Once extracted, they contain layers of sediment dating back tens of thousands of years. The scientists hope these sediments will reveal evidence of the ancient prehistoric lake that existed before the Black Sea flooded.
That is time travel, isn't it? That is that moment captured just like that.
Early research of one particular core revealed prehistoric shells that would normally be found on a lake shore. The core containing the shells was taken nearly 50 kilometers from the coast. It's evidence of where the prehistoric lake once was and how much of the coastal shelf could have been used by early humans. The scientists then turned to a different core to understand how the prehistoric lake then flooded and became the Black Sea. It contains layers of sediment stretching back tens of thousands of years. The small changes in texture are the result of fresh water pouring into the lake.
So the sediments accumulate very slowly, but what they do is they trap a story in them. And what you see by the texture of this material is there are changes in here. The process that's causing this is actually a lot of fresh water coming in through the rivers, which will probably be causing flooding events.
As the Ice Age ended and the Earth warmed, the vast rivers, today's Danube, Dniester and Don, raised the level of the lake.
So this is our grey lake muds through to the top here, where we have a full connection with the Mediterranean Sea. So very slowly, over a couple of metres, we go from fresh to full marine.
Found in several cores, these long, continuous layers of grey mud, laid down over thousands of years, are proof that the lake filled slowly with river water before the rising Mediterranean poured in through the Bosphorus.
The sudden catastrophic flood It's a fantastic idea, and it was a story that grabbed people's imagination. But our data does not support that theory. We would say quite definitely that the process happened much more gradually than has been proposed in the past. It wasn't weeks or months. It was a gradual process over a period of a few thousand years.
And what that process led to was the Black Sea's eventual connection with the Mediterranean and ancient empires that surrounded it, opening up new trade routes for their seafarers to explore. But so far, the team have not found any shipwrecks from those ancient civilizations. 43 wrecks were discovered last year, and the oldest was from the 10th century. The medieval ship may have been John Adams's favorite find from last year, but he knows that seafarers from both the Greek and Roman empires journeyed to the Black Sea and settled on its shores. He knows the sea's uniquely anoxic waters, which preserve organic material, offer his expedition a chance to travel back deep into the distant past.
Given the size and depth of the Black Sea and the intensity of maritime enterprise that's happened in it and on it over the last several thousand years, there will be an enormous amount of historical and archaeological material in the water. So we've only started to nibble away at what must be down there.
It's the expedition's final voyage to the Black Sea. The team has just 1 month to find evidence from the lost empires whose ships once sailed these mysterious waters.
What we all really would like is to find a pre-Christian Greek ship. That would really be the thing. They should be out here somewhere.
Working with Adams are the Bulgarian archaeologists Kalin Dimitrov and Veso Dragonov, scientists who've spent years in the Black Sea looking for evidence of early civilizations. The team is on a different ship, the Havila. She's bigger and even better equipped than last year's survey vessel.
Without bragging, I would say that this is the most well-equipped survey vessel there is in the world. So let's use the equipment we have on board. Let's find those fantastic ships that is really going to be changing stuff.
Many of the ROV crew from last year have volunteered again.
All stations only on deck.
The remotely operated vehicle they'll be sending to the seabed is at the cutting edge of subsea technology. And is a natural wreck hunter. Controlled through a fiber optic cable, the Surveyor Interceptor can travel 4 times faster than other ROVs. Combined with a powerful sonar, it allows them to scan much more of the sea floor, looking for shipwrecks.
Okay.
It'll be Adams's primary weapon of detection. And more than ever, he'll be in the hands of the ROV pilots, and the survey team.
Yeah, because otherwise it's creating.
Scientist survey.
Yes, sir, Rodrigo.
Yep, we've got a wreck coming through on the port side of the side scan. If you can see there, I'll send through the coordinates in a second.
Roger that.
Having detected a signature, the surveyor is retrieved, and the Schilling ROV, with its array of cameras and manipulator arms, will inspect what's down there. It will take the ROV 40 minutes to travel the 2 kilometers to the seabed. As it descends below 150 meters, so the water becomes anoxic. In this dead zone, oxygen disappears and organic materials, like ancient wooden timbers, survive. The first wreck is a 200-year-old ship from the time of the Ottomans, who controlled the Black Sea from the 15th to the 19th century. It's the same as many of the wrecks they found last year.
I don't think we're going to understand anything off this wreck.
But as the Schilling returns to the surface, the crew see alarming evidence of an unexpected danger in the Black Sea's abyss.
See those detail there that has all these black stains?
Yes.
They were spotless stainless steel.
What's happened to them?
No, it's the hostile environment, basically.
The black stains are caused by poisonous hydrogen sulfide attacking the metal. It's eating into the ROV. This toxic chemical might be the reason why they have yet to find any ancient wrecks.
It smells like rotten eggs. You know, the typical smell of sulfur, and so it smells really bad. So we need to wash all our stuff properly. We have the ROVs then go down on 2,000 meters. They need to be washed thoroughly, because otherwise you're going to have all the fittings and everything is going to corrode.
Hydrogen sulfide is produced by microscopic bacteria. These bacteria live in filaments that cling to the timbers of the wreck. Some of the scientists now suspect that as well as producing hydrogen sulfide, these bacteria are feeding on the wreck's timbers.
We looked at about 41 sites last year. The oldest one was 10th century, Byzantine. Is this because the older ones simply aren't surviving? There's something in the chemistry of the environment which keeps them well preserved for 1,000 years or more, but then after that they dissolve. And I can't really think that's right. If that, yeah, the bottom corner down there. That's this there, yeah, that's it, yes.
To find out if the bacteria are slowly destroying the wrecks, a sample of wood is retrieved for analysis.
Methodical, accurate.
So from this piece of wood, I will produce this very, very thin section with a stain that I add. Then I can take under the microscope and I can see what's going on.
The blue dye that's added to the wood sample will reveal the level and rate of degradation that the expedition is up against.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, hello. You're here.
Hello, Lotte.
Yeah, hello. Welcome. Yeah, I'm just looking at the small section I just cut. Where you can see the blue one, very degraded cells next to the white ones, which are fresh. But sooner or later, these white ones will also turn blue.
This is why when we take the samples underwater, there's absolutely no mechanical strength
Yeah,
left in the
there's
wood
no
at all.
mechanical strength at all.
Yeah.
These bacteria that degrades the wood here are very specialized bacteria. They will go into the wood, find the anatomical openings within the fibers, and from there they will scratch a little hole and they will find all their food.
Okay.
So the wood, it looks
Yeah.
intact in the water, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
The cell wall is like a skeleton of the wood. That's the only part that the bacteria cannot degrade. So that's why it's still, when it's wet, it still keep out its form. So here we go. You can even see it if you use this needle here. It's a little sharp.
Yeah.
And you can
goes in easily.
You can just press it by your hands
Yeah.
without
Yeah, yeah.
no. And now I suppose that we can.
Yeah.
It will look out here.
Yeah.
So it's so soft
Yeah.
and spongy. There's not much left really. Well, the archaeologists describe it as well preserved, and I describe the works as heavily degraded, like a honeycomb. They are empty and very, very fragile.
Lying on the sea floor, the Black Sea's ancient shipwrecks may be little more than fragile husks from the past, but they should still be out there. John Adams just hasn't found them.
How the hell did that get out here?
With 7 days left of the multi-million-dollar expedition, time is running out.
We're done. Yeah. Alex, it suddenly hit me. With this 2016 season has been so successful. How on earth could we possibly hope to equal it, let alone exceed it? So that's the moment you wake up at 4 in the morning saying, you know, we've got a ship carrying 70 people, millions of pounds of equipment, and you've got 25 days to do a series of interrelated and complex tasks. Is there any way I can control this? And there isn't really.
But the Bulgarian archaeologists, Kalin and Veso, think they can help.
Kalin and Veso had more information about stuff.
They've got another possible wreck somewhere.
They have these 2 points, so they say every time someone goes out on a fishing boat, they come back with something.
Kalin has been tipped off by local fishermen who say they found evidence of a wreck nearby. Fishermen have been working their nets in these waters for thousands of years, exploiting the annual Black Sea migrations of bonito, scad, and anchovy. Now they've told Kalin that their nets have been picking up pieces of ceramics from the sea floor.
At least at two time fishermen catch amphoras with their nets.
Amphora were used by the Romans and the ancient Greeks to transport olive oil, wine, and fish paste throughout the Mediterranean and the Black Sea.
for sure that this amphora came from shipwrecks that are exposed on the bottom. We have a theoretical orientation of the area, so we'll try to find the shipwreck.
Scanning the shallow coastal waters where the fishermen had worked their nets, the Havila picks up a new signature. The Bulgarian fishermen were right. A single amphora lies on the seabed.
Brilliant.
There's little of the wreck left, but it's evidence that older finds are out there. The Havila continues on a heading that keeps them in shallow water, closer to the coast.
I'm not sure yet, but can you make a fix there for me?
Yeah, please.
There was an anomaly on the port side.
So you have something out there.
The expedition's luck has finally turned.
What's this? What's this?
Ah, yes.
There we go. That's what it is.
That's an amphora.
That's
Yes.
what it is.
Yes, it is.
Amphorae, dozens of them. From a Roman cargo ship, still intact after 2,000 years.
Good. Brilliant.
Okay.
What we have is a complete cargo of amphora sitting down there, still on the decks of the ship that carried it. So, not bad, eh?
Each of these clay vessels is a time capsule waiting to be recovered, containing clues about the world from which they and the ship came.
They have the neck height, I think it's exactly this type.
If we recovered an amphora, we could have a very quick general idea about the location of the production center of the amphorae and probably even their contents and the origin of the ship's journey.
At a depth of 95 meters, it's possible to dive and retrieve an amphora. But getting divers back into the water takes days of preparation, and the expedition's clock is ticking. Using the ROV and its manipulator arm would be quicker. But picking up a 2,000-year-old clay artifact hydraulically is fraught with risk. Without knowing its precise size and weight, there's a danger the ROV will break it. The scientists have an ace up their sleeve. The Surveyor Interceptor has a laser scanner, which can record a perfect blueprint of the wreck and the dimensions of the amphora they want to recover. Flying low, the surveyor's laser scans the wreck, millimeter by millimeter. The amphora is 80 centimeters tall and 50 centimeters wide, big enough to carry 20 liters of olive oil or wine, small enough for a grown man to heave onto a Roman cargo ship. The plan that's been hatched to retrieve the amphora is Scandinavian in its simplicity.
If we could modify, say, one of these suction cups for the toilets, they must have something like that on board. And then get it, suck it, and lift it.
Yeah.
The ROV pilots get to work. The key components, one plastic hose and a toilet plunger.
Okay, doke. Let's go to work. Kanske komma. Wait. Ja.
Just take it easy.
Okay. Nej, bara stå helt i ro.
There is a stick here, a stupid stick here, a branch.
No. Easy. Forward a little bit. No, it's okay. Okay, come down a little bit. Kom her ut med armen, ut med skuldra di. No, don't stress. Down. Easy peasy. Crane, coming down.
Bravo.
Lost for nearly 2,000 years, the amphora is back on the surface. A new ship now, and a different crew.
I think every single person on this ship now can relate in a certain way to every single artifact that we're retrieving, because it is a piece of our common global heritage and the lifetime of our forefathers. In fact, every artifact you discover brings you one step closer to the humans who actually built it and actually used it and carried it. It had a meaning for someone.
Amphora were the everyday vessels for storing food in ancient times. And the sea was the cheapest and fastest means of transporting them across the Roman Empire. At its height, Rome controlled over half of the Black Sea. Their ships would journey from the Mediterranean to the Black Sea's northern shores to trade wine and olive oil for timber and grain. To avoid the treacherous coastline, the Roman traders would have sailed further out in blue water.
I think we see evidence for blue water sailing surprisingly early. And I don't think you can generalize that at certain periods seafarers would have hugged the shore and gone, coast hopping and stuff like that. In most areas of the world, early evidence suggests they didn't do that.
With less than a week left at sea, the Havila has changed course. She's now lying in deeper water, on an ancient shipping route that Adams hopes early navigators would have used, and where the Black Sea's anoxic water should have better preserved the wrecks.
All stations, that's the RV out of TMS.
Within hours of leaving the coastal shelf, the team pick up a new wreck signature. Lying more than 2 kilometers below the surface, it's one of the deepest wrecks the team has found.
Yeah, the depth here is 2,067 meters.
That was probably, historically, archaeologically, that may be our most important moment.
The wreck is on its side, half buried in the seabed.
That was a case of seeing things on the wreck that rang bells. You couldn't instantly identify it, but you think, I've seen this before somewhere. Where have I seen that? Can we just go over the top and looking down? Yeah. Incredible. Ah, but what period of incredible is it? Its quarter rudder with a tiller still attached was actually sloping into the seabed, and it looked really well preserved, so we decided to expose the whole of the rudder blade to get its shape, because quite often they're a little bit diagnostic.
The design of the rudder could give Adams an indication of when the ship sailed. According to ancient iconography, a straight rudder could mean the wreck is Roman.
So we were sort of expecting a Roman-style rudder. I still can't really believe what we found. Yeah. Oh yes, perfect. That's lovely. Keep going, Tormwood.
Carry on.
Keep that demon vacuum going.
For 2 hours, the ROV pilots use a vacuum pump to suck away thick layers of sediment that have built up around the rudder over thousands of years. They've got to the end of the blade, but it doesn't seem to look like a straight Roman rudder.
Fantastic.
So he's after Jesus Christ.
This one? Older. A lot older than that.
6 feet of sediment has been sucked away to reveal a curved, shaped rudder. It's not Roman. It's much older, from ancient Greece, 2,500 years ago.
There's a ship design on a pot which is called the Siren Vase, which is actually currently in the British Museum. It has rudders that are identical in shape to the one that we exposed that day on the seabed.
You can see the exact same shape of the blade of the counter rudder resemble very strongly the one that we just studied and just discovered. Even the position of the mast in the forequarter of the ship is very, very similar, so there's very strong evidence to suggest at this stage of research a date probably somewhere in the 5th century BC, somewhere in the classical Greek age. So quite incredible, quite incredible. Yeah. This will be the earliest ship that we discovered.
Have you seen something like that before?
Never. I'm not sure anybody has. So many aspects of the maritime past are always slightly vague, undocumented, and quite often it's the shipwrecks that provides us with ways of viewing aspects of history that aren't written down. So we're now beginning to get a far deeper understanding of what went on and why.
In the historic Bulgarian port of Sozopol, land-based archaeological digs have uncovered evidence of the ancient Greek colonies that settled on these shores. A hoard of artifacts reveals how, 3,000 years ago, trading empires from the Mediterranean began to look east to the Black Sea. It's a tangible link for maritime archaeologists Drago Garbov and Helen Farr to the ancient Greeks who came and lived in Sozopol, far from their homeland.
So yeah, the ancient Greeks arrived here in the 7th century BC.
So they're coming across through the Bosphorus into the Black Sea, settling here, and then instantly trading.
Exactly. I think what came in mostly was exotic foods and also luxury goods. These vessels, the perfume bottles, and they contain such strong essences inside that at the moment of discovery, they usually still bear the aroma of what was inside them.
Wow. It just really appeals to me that you could smell something from that long ago. What's that?
Oh, that's a fish grill. We find them in interesting contexts. In fact, most of them have been discovered on top of graves. So once a burial would occur, the relatives or friends of the deceased would come back regularly.
Have a party.
Yeah, to perform
Really?
rituals and feasts.
And you can see the burning on it as well.
Exactly, yeah, it has been used.
And that really brings in to the picture the fact that these people were living here, not just the traders that are coming across from Greece, but it's families. It's the old, there's the young, there's the babies and children. Yeah, those are lovely things, lovely artefacts. They just drive that home really clearly. Oh, fabulous.
The expedition has been at sea for 24 days, and it's taking its toll. Mile upon mile surveyed, day and night, in the hunt for new wrecks.
We have to do more cattings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've been doing a really, really good project, but it has been taking the toll, and especially from the ROV crew. 1,400 kilometers of seafloor mapped, and they're exhausted now, really.
Have you seen this, John? Have you seen it on detail?
I was tired at the end, but I wasn't weary in the sense of we've done it, we've done enough, I want to go home. If we'd had another 10 days at sea to do more of the same, I would have grabbed it.
There are only 2 days to go, and John Adams won't let up.
The Black Sea is a huge repository of historically important wrecks. We've now looked at probably about 60 in the last 3 years, and we've only just scratched the surface.
The Black Sea preserves wrecks in remarkable condition, but they've yet to make a find that offers a perfect window to the past.
Scientist survey.
We've got a wreck coming through on the side scan at 42 degrees 0453
north.
Thank you.
There is time, just, for one more discovery.
Oh, we copy.
As we came towards it, it was one of those, images resolving out of the murk. And then you're looking at an intact hull. Your immediate reaction is, well, it's intact, it must be modern. And then as we came towards the stern of the wreck, we recognised a quarter rudder. And then it started to dawn on us. The quarter rudders, the style of the planking, the position of the mast, the whole shape of the hull. I'm looking at a ship that's 2,000 years old, and it's still complete. And it's got rope still tied to its mast and hanging off the side. You run out of words.
The wreck is Roman, dating from the 1st century AD. No one has ever seen an ancient shipwreck like this, still so intact and so well preserved.
That's astonishing. Absolutely astonishing.
The feeling of looking at something like that, just standing there in front of you. That moment of revelation, that's that moment of truth, that's that moment of discovery. That's a feeling you can't really, describe.
Big beam in the bow, near the bow.
Traditionally, archaeologists have relied on classical iconography to try to understand Roman seafaring. Not anymore.
We're 21 meters and still going.
Wow. When you see the size of this shipwreck, all of a sudden your mind just goes, I had no idea it was that big. This was not just a fisherman going up and down the coast. This was a serious business. And this is the kind of things that we're interested in archaeology. Is giving that richness, that texture to human lives, human past lives.
What we have is a complete ship sitting down there. It's a spectacular find. And when we tie it down, I mean, it's probably one of the most important shipwreck finds ever.
Layer by layer, the 3-year expedition has unearthed the ancient past of the Black Sea, revealing histories of people who faced a changing climate and sailed the high seas in search of empire and fortune.
Yep, we've got a wreck coming through on the port side of the side scanner.
More than 60 wrecks discovered. A medieval ship that Marco Polo might have sailed on.
Stunning. My God, look at that.
A huge Roman cargo vessel that was trading 2,000 years ago. An ancient Greek ship that plied these waters when Plato was alive.
Have you seen something like that before? I'm not sure anybody has.
Further back in time, the debate over how and when the Black Sea flooded has been settled. Not a catastrophic or biblical flood, but a slow inundation as the prehistoric lake was filled. First by the great rivers that drain into it, and finally as the rising Mediterranean poured in.
Years ago, archaeologists, even if they were working on a coastal site, they wouldn't look out to sea. They'd turn resolutely inland, looking for the answers from the material that they could get at there. We now know that the sea is so important that you really need to turn around and look out to sea. The answers, actually, in many cases, are out there.
The depths of this unparalleled sea have revealed touchstones of our ancient past. Reminders of who we are and how we once lived thousands of years ago.